They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking six legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast, boys and girls, science in the air.
Hey all you nerdy entomologists out there, welcome to the BCE podcast where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. I'm your host, Adam Holt. We've got your co-host right here, Shell Hartzer.
Hey!
And we have a special guest in the house, Desiree. I'm not going to try to murder your last name, so I'm going to let you say it.
Straubinger.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. And we would love to just start out with having you tell us kind of like your everything everywhere all at once in a nutshell.
Awesome. Everything, everywhere, all at once in a nutshell. All right. So I'm Desiree Straubinger. I currently am the technical services rep for the Southeast for BASF. I live in Orlando, Florida. So that I've been in Orlando most of my career. So it's home of Pest World this year, which is awesome.
I was just going to say, so we're going to see you at Pest World this year.
Yeah, it would be weird if I wasn't there since it's like down the street.
That's true, yeah.
So I have been in the pest control industry for 24 years.
Me too.
Right? 23
I think
years?
Shell too.
Yeah.
I just say, over a decade so that nobody can count back and get to, so
That's
it's
good. Maybe I
just
should start doing that. Yep.
over a decade.
Over 2 decades.
Yep. I'm going to say over 2 decades, yes.
2 decades. Yep. So I started off after school. I went to Purdue and got my undergrad in entomology, and I started off at Stereotech, and I ran a pest control route, and I did a lot of different things at that company, but eventually ended up in technical, which is kind of where my heart was. So, fun fact, when I interviewed at Stereotech when I was at Purdue, I interviewed for a technical position that they ended up not doing at that time. It took me 11 and a half years to get that position.
Jeez.
So stick with it. That's all I have to say. Stick with it. When you have a goal, stick with it. But I did a lot of different things in that 11 and a half years, and I wouldn't have done it any other way. But that's kind of where it started, is there as far as the pest control industry. But I went through the acquisition into Rentokil and worked for Rentokil for a few years, and then became the VP of technical at Certus, and then an opportunity arose at BASF, and I am here. So
Yay.
most of my career-changing things were all within Stereotech. So I had a lot of different job titles within one company, but have done a lot of different things.
Now, one of the things about a lot of us in the pest control industry is how we got here. And by far, none of us got here in a nice straight line or intended. So how did you even get into this? How did you decide that you wanted to be an entomology undergrad?
So, and how I decided to be an entomology undergrad is totally different than how I ended up in pest control. Too.
True. So go through that. Yeah.
Different stories. So I, as a small child, my dad is a fly fisherman, and so my start of insects started in streams, fishing with my dad, and he would be fishing, and I would be flipping rocks over and things like that.
Aquatic invertebrates, yeah.
Yeah, finding all sorts of aquatic insects. So that's where my love of insects started. And then I did a bug collection, which I actually still have. I have it. It's on the wall here in our condo in 7th grade. And
What?
Yeah, and amazingly enough, they're in really good shape for being from 7th grade. My labeling was totally awful, but that was what the requirement was at 7th grade, right? So it's fine. But so I did this insect collection and just fell in love with that. Fast forward then to undergrad, I started at Purdue in business because my dad owns a business, and I figured I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a freshman, and so I figured you could do business anywhere, and so that would be fine. And so I just started with that. I took an entomology class with Tom Turpin, Entomology 101, and fell in love with it. and it. I mean, obviously,
That was
completely
it?
changed my career, but yeah,
Right.
that was it. I changed my major second semester freshman year. My parents thought I had lost my mind. They asked me a lot of questions like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I said, "I don't know.
I
But
don't
I'll figure
care.
it out."
I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Right?
and
My
I sure
my
did.
mom told me my life was over and the only thing I could ever do with my life is be a park ranger. And I was like, I never thought of being a park
What?
ranger. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so a park
You're
ranger
like, thanks
actually
for
was
the
on my
idea, Mom.
list of things. Yeah,
Right.
like I was like, oh, that could be really cool to work for the national parks and stuff, and like that would be awesome. And so
Except for
it's
maybe
still
today,
on my
but,
list of
you know.
things. Like if I ever need a backup, like it's still on my list of things, which is fun. But yeah, so then I didn't really know. I started just kind of in general entomology, and you just take a lot of general classes. And as you get down into the junior and senior year, you start kind of specializing. I didn't know what to specialize in. I didn't know what kind of part. I knew I didn't want to be on the university side, on the research side. I like the doing of the research. I don't like the writing of the research. And so I knew that wasn't for me. I didn't know what was for me. And so my spring break, my senior year, I went out on like a solo road trip and I visited, I backtrack. So I did an internship at Disney. And so the internship I did at Disney was at the land. So if you've ever gone through on the boat ride, through all the greenhouses and stuff at the land, that's where I worked, and I raised biological control insects and that we released in the greenhouses. And I decided that's it. I want to do greenhouse IPM. Like I pigeonholed it. This is what I want to do. I was really excited about it. I'm going to get a job at some fancy botanical garden. Like this is it. And so I went on this road trip, my spring break, and I visited large production greenhouses. I had gotten a job at a production greenhouse in West Lafayette. I'd taken a bunch of hort classes so that I could learn about greenhouses and green propagation and stuff. And so when I went to these large scale production greenhouses, you find out they don't do greenhouse IPM for the most part. They just spray the bugs. And they don't employ entomologists usually for that either. If they need extension, they get extension. So I was like, all right. And then I went to botanical gardens as well. And botanical gardens do employ entomologists. And so that was definitely a possibility. But those jobs are so awesome that you're literally waiting for somebody to retire. And retirement age is escalated. So, I mean, it's a long wait. And they also don't hire entomologists straight out of university. You do things like unpaid internships and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I came back with my like hopes and dreams like dashed. My second semester senior year, which is when you're supposed to be like moving on and deciding what you're going to do. And so I was at a alumni event and was sitting at a picnic table, and a gentleman sat down across from me and said, "What do you want to do, after you graduate?" And I was like, "Well, it's funny you ask. I thought I knew what I was going to do. Turns out I didn't know anything." And so he said, "Well, like, what do you think about pest control?" And I was like, "Ooh, like, no, not pest control. That seems
I don't want to crawl underneath like
that
houses
doesn't seem like a fun thing." And I'd had almost no exposure to pest control. I mean, we didn't have pest control at my house when I grew up, and I didn't know what pest control meant. I just knew that it sounded gross, and like that didn't sound like something I wanted to do.
Right.
And so he said, "Keep your mind open or whatever. Give me your resume," and he went on his way. I had no idea who I was sitting across from, just this older gentleman that was an alumni of Purdue. It was Austin Frischman.
Oh my gosh.
Austin Frischman took my resume.
Wow.
Before he presented in Florida, he said, there's a young lady at Purdue that's graduating with an undergrad in entomology. She's looking for a job. If you have an opening or whatever, I've got copies of her resume. And so he let me know after the fact. He said, "Don't be surprised, if you get calls from companies you didn't apply for." And I said, "Okay, whatever." I still didn't know. I didn't know who Austin was in the industry. I had no idea and stuff. And so, so I did get a call from a gentleman at Steratech, and the rest is history. So I moved from Indiana to Florida, and I've been in the industry ever since. So that's how that started.
I love your story. I've just been mesmerized by your shirt this entire time, and like thinking about all the orders of insects. I'm like Hymenoptera, Coleoptera, Diptera. But your story I love.
There goes Adam.
I don't get to wear fun polo shirts very often. Most of mine
know.
are just very plain and very professional. So I broke out
So
the
my
fun
mind is
polo shirt.
going, have you been able to do any greenhouse IPM stuff like since, all of that at all?
Nope. Nope. I have, I don't even know that I've set foot in a greenhouse since I left West Lafayette, other than to buy my own plants and things like that. So I still love that part of the industry. I love greenhouse. I love plant propagation. I love all of that. It is a separate division at BASF, but I'm on the same team as those people. So there are technical people. So I get to kind of cross over a little bit sometimes. And at least I get to listen to them talk, and I see the cool pictures from greenhouses and stuff. So,
All right. Well, since this is the BCE podcast, now we have to ask you, when did you get your BCE?
2011.
Me too.
Oh,
Almost
nice.
Shell too. Yeah, we're like almost all the same year. That's
Yeah, we didn't
hilarious.
know each other, but we were all taking that test at the same time.
Right?
Yeah.
I love that. So, do you remember anything about like prepping for the test and like if it was challenging, all that kind of stuff?
I do. I remember like it was yesterday, which you guys probably do too, because it's such a massive test that like.
It is.
And Laura on her interview said like that's something that she does not recommend retaking and letting it slip. I would have the same advice. Do not ever forget to turn in your CEU sheet because I don't want to ever have to take that exam again. So, but yeah, so I was going into my technical role, and it was a requirement of my technical role at Steratech, and I
Same.
had put it off and put it off and put it off. And the more you put the BCE off, the worse it is for you. And so
The harder it is, yeah. The harder it is.
yeah,
for
the
the
harder
test.
it is
Yeah,
for you
yeah.
because it just like all of the stuff that you need to know for the BCE is stuff that you don't use every day. All of like the orders and all that kind of
The
thing.
history
So-
stuff too. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and so the further I got
Yeah.
away from my undergrad, the more I had to relearn and remember. And so my recommendation is take it as soon as you can. If you graduate with your entomology bachelor's, take it immediately, as soon as
Well, so just so everybody's aware, and this is what we talk about, you can't take it immediately after you graduate.
Yeah,
You have to have
years
your
in the
degree
industry, right?
and you have to have your 3 years of experience. So that's going
Yeah.
to be crucial. But
So
yes,
take it
you
on
are
3
right.
years in one day.
Yeah. Yes. Good idea.
Yeah.
So what category did you get?
Urban.
Urban. Okay.
Yep. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so
Do you remember
I
that
did a
being-
lot of studying. I had my Malice guide was at my side for everywhere I went, which is not an easy thing to tote around with you. But that exam was a beast. So, and then I've proctored other people taking the ACE, and I know that one is also a beast as well. And so, as soon as you decide, don't put it off. And then my advice from my mentor was just pick a date and register, because
Yeah.
now you have an end date. You can't put it off anymore. So,
Well, I always tell people, I'm like, listen, I was a person where I'm like, I'm a horrible test taker. So I already knew I wasn't going to pass. Like I was already manifesting that for myself. So I just took it the first time just to get to know what it was like. And then I
Yeah.
went ahead and scheduled to take it again the 30 days later.
that's a way to do it too. I think that's just kind of like a pretest.
Yeah.
Well, that way it takes all the anxiety away, right? Because you go into
Yeah.
this test and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to pass. And then it's like, if I know that I'm not going to pass, it's just, okay, I'm good with it.
Yeah, the
Well-
time limit is what got me. I think it's like I only have whatever it was 2 hours or whatever to finish, like that part of the exam and stuff, and I was like biting my nails watching a clock.
See, and I don't think there's a time limit anymore because I just proctored somebody and there was no time limit on that one. So they may have taken that away now.
Yeah, I didn't have a time limit when I took it.
Oh,
I just don't
really?
remember.
yeah,
I
no,
remember.
right.
I remember it taking like 8 hours to take mine.
Oh yeah, no, mine it was like 2 hours. I think was the time limit when I took it early in 2011.
When I was done, I found like the closest bar because I was like, I need a drink.
Yeah, I took it at work. I took it in the office and stuff. I was sitting there taking it, and I would have probably done the same thing if I hadn't been at work. But-
Well, and I think it's a
So-
good point
Go
too
ahead,
because
Cheryl.
a couple people have talked about this too. Not necessarily passing on the first time, and it gives you an idea of like what parts you're missing because
Yeah.
you know certain parts, so it's
Yeah.
the what do you focus on for that second round to make sure that you pass. So yeah, I always tell people the first round is the practice test, and you pass it,
Yeah.
great. If you don't, it's okay. It's still okay.
Yeah, being
Yep.
okay with not passing it the first time is important. There's very few people that do pass it on the
Mm-hmm.
first time. So, kind of like, there's a lot of exams that are like that. Real estate is like that. There's lots
Right.
of other exams that are out there in different industries. So,
Yeah.
So the next question, go ahead, Shell. You got it.
It's probably the same question you were going to ask. So the next question we usually ask is, how do you feel that your BC? Do you feel that your BCE has helped you, and how do you feel that's helped you over your career, if so?
I do feel like it's helped me. I think it's really important, and I always talk about with the ACE too, that both of those certification exams, like whichever one you can get, you need to get it, like in this industry. I think it adds a little bit of clout when you're with customers and things like that. I have done a lot of work in food processing, and you guys have been in food processing as well. And so you're dealing with a totally different mindset when you're talking to people in the QA part of food processing. They have totally different education, but they are educated people.
Yeah.
And if you can say, I'm board certified in something, like it adds that just little extra bump. It's on my business card, it's on all of that
Yep.
and stuff. And so I think it helps there. I've never been one to be like, do you know who I am? Like, like title, like rank kind of thing. But
Where's your
sometimes
halo?
you have to do that. Yeah. So sometimes that you do. And, like I stood in front of a hotel front desk or no, maintenance guy who was telling me that the very large bed bug in the cup that I had taken from my room that was on the mattress in my room was not a bed bug. And I said, well,
Yeah, it is. Sorry. You're not going to argue with me. Sorry.
this is how I know, kind of thing. And so it has helped me in my career for sure. I would not have done the positions that I have been in without having at least that background.
Yes.
And
Sorry, you're like, I'm excited because we've only had one person on our podcast so far say that their BCE has not benefited them. Just one so far.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that it's just, if nothing else, it's those credentials after your name. And I know there's a lot of people that try to add many credentials, and I have other credentials after my name as well. And I'm working on adding another one, right? So I'm just gonna have like this long list. But it just adds something, right? Like I do a lot of speaking and engagements and things like that, and I think it just builds that rapport, right? I mean,
Yep.
I do kind of know what I'm talking about most of the time.
Just
I wouldn't be where I am without it, honestly, Desiree. Like I started my business this year, and I'm only literally in my business because a guy reached out to me on LinkedIn out of California, and he needed specifically a BCE to come do an inspection for him. And it was like the catapult to my business, and here I am.
Yeah, a lot of audited accounts, like Desiree said, a lot of food accounts, pharmaceutical stuff like that, are beginning to require that their pest control company have a certified entomologist on staff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
it definitely, whether it's the ACE, like we said, or the BCE, it can open a lot of doors for you.
Yeah, I agree. And if nothing else, I mean, when you're trying to look for other positions and stuff, having that on your, as a credential on your name is very helpful.
So now I got to ask this question: the background to the shirt.
Yeah, where'd you get it? We all need to order one.
My husband got it
Right?
for me for Christmas from Amazon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's I don't, like I said, I don't get to wear it very often. So I'm doing my master's currently at UF, and I had to do
Go Gators! It's stamped.
That's awesome.
Go
I had to do
Gators.
a project, and it was a video project, and I wore this, and like all of the comments on my, like for my peer review and stuff was like, "This shirt's awesome," and
Right.
stuff. And so, but yeah, I don't get to wear it. I need to break it out for more Pest World things and stuff like that. Like, I don't hang out with the bug nerds that often, so. NCU.
Well, you got two right here, so you're good to go.
Yeah, I figured I was hanging out with bug nerds today. I could wear my fun shirt.
I love it.
So now I need to get more. I feel like this is going to be a thing. Like,
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your master's. What's your project? What does it entail?
funny that you ask. So I am not to that
Greenhouse
kind
IPM. I'm just kidding.
I'm trying again. I told you, set a goal and stick with it. No, I gave up on that goal. In 2002, that goal went away. So no, it's ACE prep actually. So ironically
Cool.
enough for this call. So I'm going to work on a project of getting like an ACE prep course set up through UF because they have Pest Management University or PMU, Faith Oy and others kind of do that. And so that's one thing that they really would like to be able to do, like have an ACE prep course through Canvas, which is the university's site for remote stuff, and so they could go in and do the prep course, maybe a practice test, things like that. So I'm still in the planning phases of that, but it'd be like recording presentations and stuff like that for that.
Right. I'm going to connect with you offline because I'm actually working on right now making a whole insect ID presentation in Canva. So it's pretty
perfect.
cool. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So cool.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, hopefully you'll get back to the greenhouse IPM thing some days. You know what I mean?
I don't know if that's the dream anymore. I think that dream that's.
Wait.
But
Nothing dies, Desiree. Nothing dies.
Nothing dies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, like, just a real quick story. When you said that, I worked in Colorado for a year for a cannabis company.
Yeah.
And it was a startup cannabis company. So I was actually writing the the biological IPM programs for like Candescent, True Leaf, all the big players.
Yeah.
Part of that was actually rearing the BCOs and basically having that as part of the structural pest control program. And so it was very interesting to be able to write basically pair. Sorry, I shook my desk. Look, I'm doing a shell.
It's an earthquake.
Yeah, I mean those do happen here, so don't scare me. Although it's tsunamis here, sorry. But pairing the biological control organisms with the actual pest control was very interesting.
Yeah, that's it is interesting. Yeah, I really thought that when I did that at my internship at Disney, it was a lot of fun. We reared some, we ordered some, depending on the pest and the control insect, but
Right.
it was really cool. So
Very cool.
But yeah, greenhouse work in Florida, I can't even imagine. I mean, in Indiana it was so hot in the summer working in the greenhouses. I can't even imagine working in greenhouses here. I don't know if
or come to Hawaii.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably very similar actually out there. But yeah, the humidity and the heat. I'm not sure that I'm built for that anymore.
So what are you doing with BASF right now? Because you're doing your master's and you're working. I know you gave us a little bit, but give us more about what you're doing with BASF.
Yep. So I am the regional technical rep, and the technical services rep for the Southeast. So I cover Florida, Georgia, North, and South Carolina.
So you can do a lot of driving.
I do. I don't mind the drive. Actually, I have the smallest geographical territory of the four of us. So there's four of us with that same position in the U.S. And so mine's real nice and tight of just the 4 states. So.
Okay, I'm going to leave that alone. Leave that one alone.
So,
you opened yourself up for that, Desiree. Come on
I
now.
did, and I did it knowingly too. That's the bad part.
Fun fact about entomologists is we never take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, not
Not
too
at all.
seriously. No. Some do, but
Yeah.
We're still
not
people at the
everyone.
end of the day.
Yeah. But yeah, so I do a lot of speaking. I kind of lead the research stuff. When we've got new products coming out or even existing products, we want to know something new about it. Maybe we want to add a pest to the label, things like that. So I have research consultants that do that, or university research that does those sort of things. So I just today was writing up protocols for research projects and things like that. So that's the bulk of what I do. But I do a lot
Fun
of
stuff.
Yeah, Shell and I see each other a lot.
Yeah, we do. We
Speak
cross
the
paths
same-
a lot
same
of
areas.
different places. We're like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
We
I
gotta
will not be
plan better
pest
next
world,
time.
though.
So I
Yes, you
wear
should.
my bug shirt. You wear your bug. We're gonna plan this out better for next time.
We'll plan it. Okay.
For sure. I will not be a pest world because it's too far, but I will hopefully see you guys maybe back on the mainland when I get back. You got to come out to the West Coast.
I do come out to the West Coast sometimes. We tend to kind of stay in our areas.
Right.
And this year I'm doing some kind of other engagements up in like New York and stuff. But I did speak at Hood River a couple years ago. So that was a lot of fun. Up in Oregon, that was a lot of fun. That Hood River area.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't come out west very often. I spent a lot of time out there when I was at Certus. So we had our first acquisition was up in the Seattle area. So I spent a lot of time in
the Sprague territory.
Yeah, in the Sprague territory.
Yeah. So what's your favorite bug, Desiree?
I was just going to ask, like, what's your favorite pest to talk about?
Oh my gosh, I love it. We're like on the same link here.
My favorite pest to talk about is ants, hands down. So when I started my route in pest control, I took over a route that was fairly heavy, what I would say is heavily infested with ants. My route was predominantly healthcare, lots of hospitals, lots of nursing homes. And the ant in question, most of the time, was fire ants. And so those two things do not go together very well. And so I learned how to kill ants really well, very quickly. So, but yeah, so the ants are kind of I love talking about ants. I talk mostly about termites. So most of the time when I get asked to speak, it's for WDO. Because the company that I work for is the leader in WDO, so that's kind
interesting fun fact about Hawaii. The only subterranean termite we have here is Coptotermes formisanus.
Oh yes.
Yeah, literally. So it's I was like, go ahead. Sorry.
But they're voracious. So.
Rip up an 8x8 wall in like 10 hours.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have one, that's a fun one to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had formosans actually in my building. I live in a high rise in downtown Orlando, and we had them. They were in the expansion material in our building, and so
fun.
Yep. So that's a time when my BCE on my name came in handy when I emailed the board and said we need to do something about this, and I do know what I'm talking about. So, but yep. So ants are my favorite. They're just really interesting. They're very interesting to watch. Their behaviors are interesting. The whole biology about ants is interesting. So, but
you ready for this? You ready for this, Desiree? Shell, what's your favorite bug today?
Today, I just recorded an episode for Whining About Pest Control, and I did velvet ants. So I'm like totally obsessed with velvet ants right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Velvet ants.
Mine doesn't change. Yeah, mine doesn't change. It's always lice.
Lice?
Yeah, I'm a lice freak. I love lice.
Lice are cool.
Lice are cool.
Interesting. So why lice? What's so cool about lice? I've never.
So I did my master's thesis. I wrote a Florida field guide to bird lice because I worked at DPI in Gainesville for a while, so the Division of Plant Industry. But back when I was growing up, I grew up on a 9-acre farm back in Florida, North Florida, and we used to tag the turkeys, right? So that like if they got loose, you would know where they are. And I remember my dad holding the turkeys against his chest. And whenever he would take them off, there would be all these little things crawling on his shirt. So I'd be like, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that? And it was all the lice and ectoparasites crawling on his shirt. So it was like kind of like my infatuation with ectoparasites.
That's cool. You don't meet many people and that's their favorite bug. I think ants is pretty normal. Cockroaches is pretty normal. Lice?
Well, define normal.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, sure. Yeah. Like,
most people, it's like butterflies, and I like ladybugs.
I mean, I do like ladybugs.
Wait a minute, a little off topic, but are you all excited that they're bringing back Reading Rainbow?
Yes!
Yes!
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm so excited.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Butterflies in the sky.
Yeah.
I can fly twice as high.
We can all sing the song because we watched it every week. So,
oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited about that. I feel like kids like this generation of kids won't appreciate it, but their parents will.
And randomness, he's a TikTok star. That's how he got it.
Oh.
Yeah, he has like 800,000 followers on TikTok, and that's how they found him.
Interesting. He's a librarian.
Because he's actually he's a librarian. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked into this story much. I just happened to randomly see it when we were scrolling through YouTube the other night, and I was real excited. And I made my husband play the video so I could listen to the song.
Oh my gosh. So Shell, back to the velvet ant. Why is that your favorite ant your favorite bug this week?
They're so pretty. and there's so much diversity, they have those brilliant colors. It's bright red or orange, and there's one called a thistledown velvet ant. That's a desert species,
Mm.
and it's like this light purple color. It's almost like an iridescent light purple, and that's just, I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
I
I
love
can
it.
remember my first time ever seeing a velvet ant. It was when I was running my route here in Florida as a pest control specialist. But then I didn't see them for years. And this past year, I don't know if you had the same thing, but there was like an abundance of velvet ants. So I don't know, something environmentally changed this past
Yeah, it
year.
seems to,
Yeah,
dip
and
and
like I didn't
peak.
see any
Global
for
warming,
decades.
something like that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I've seen a ton of them, and I get being an entomologist, you get a lot of text messages from friends. What is this? What is this? And
What's
so
that, though?
I got a lot of velvet ant text messages. What is this? And
Cool.
I said, well, just leave it alone. Please don't pick it up. But this is what it is. Like,
Look, don't touch.
yeah, do not grab that. But I did get a velvet ant for my insect collection though, for my master's program. So I was really excited. About
Desiree, I got so tired of people asking me about bug identification that I made a video showing them how to use Google Photos and like the image search thing to upload it because it's relatively accurate. You
It's
know
really
what I mean? It's
good.
not 100. I'm gonna say it's not 100% accurate, but it's probably 70% accuracy.
Yeah.
You know, and
It might be
so
more, actually. I use that as a double check on myself, and just
Right.
like, out of curiosity, like how good is this? And when I was doing my insect collection, so I'm actually identifying with books and things like that, and then comparing it to what Google said, and it was pretty good.
yeah, but you're probably talking about more like common name, right? Not actual like scientific
No,
name. More
scientific
common
name. Yeah,
Really?
scientific name. Yeah, yeah. It at least got me down the right path, right? So it
Yeah.
least it
Okay.
gets you to where you might have to do a little bit more digging, but it was better than I expected, actually.
Well, you know what? Interestingly enough, this is an interesting topic we can talk about. Are you utilizing AI at all with your current role?
Oh.
I am. So
Yeah.
we at BASF we had a kind of a what I would call a pilot program of Copilot. And so I jumped on that as soon as it released, and we had to take a bunch of modules on safety and things like that, so we don't like release company secrets through Copilot.
Yep.
But once I got through that, then I have a license, one of the licenses for Copilot. And so that's exciting for me because it saves me a lot of time. So just like just work time savings alone, like that whole thing with Copilot helps so much. Like I don't have to make outlines for my presentations anymore. I can just say, look at this presentation and make an outline for me, and it does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And
So is Copilot like a generic another version of like ChatGPT?
it's Microsoft version, so it doesn't do images and things like that. So I also
Okay.
on my personal computer I have ChatGPT, just like the free version, and so I've done some photos, like built some photos and stuff off of that. One of my coworkers has done a lot of building of photos for presentations that explain like these complex processes or complex things like foam and how foam, like dry foam versus wet foam, when you're talking about like foaming for insects, right? And
Right.
so there's expansion ratios and things like that. It's a fairly complex thing to talk about, but we want to talk about it in not so complex terms. And so she got some really good images from ChatGPT that were accurate, like that. You got to tweak it. You got to play around with it a little bit. You got to feed some more information. It's all about what you put into it, what you get out. But it's helped me productivity wise. Like Copilot has helped me quite a bit. And the ChatGPT more on the fun side. Like I use that for the images, and so I'm the president of Pi Chi Omega. I'm actually the outgoing president this year at Pest World. Will be the end of my 2-year term, which is awesome. But we're planning some fun stuff for Pest World for the booth. And one of the things they were talking about is making a crossword. Like, can we do a crossword of like pest facts and Disney,
Yeah.
like pest facts and Disney facts together? I was like, I bet ChatGPT can do that for me. Boop, boop, boop. And
There's actually, just so you know, being a teacher that moved to Hawaii to teach, because that's what I originally came here to do, was to teach 6th science. There's a free crossword maker out there.
Oh, cool. I'll look up that.
Yeah,
I'll take
just like
ChatGPT
way easier. Yeah.
on a quick I'm going to see what comes out of it. It was not perfect, but it got me more than I would have just done on my own.
If you go to the free crossword maker, and I'll send you a link for it, it basically, you put in all the words you want, and then it just makes it for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chat GPT's was like the 2 lines next to it. It was not great. So I was like, nope, this isn't exactly what I need, but it's a start. So
fair enough.
So, but it did do a good job for like making word finds and stuff. I did that for one of the projects for my master's. I did do a kids like booklet type of thing, and so
I definitely utilize ChatGPT just because even though I know it's not obviously 100% accurate, it's just good to get that foundation, like you say, to make things a little easier.
Yeah, sometimes just the starting point, you know?
Yeah, I've used it for like, I'm going to do a presentation to pest control professionals about, I just did this actually this week, commercial ant control, like in commercial buildings. Like, what are some key things that I need to remember to talk about? And it gave me a list, most of which was fairly accurate. Not anything earth-shattering, but it helps me so I don't forget when I'm making my outline and I'm building my presentation. I don't forget something fairly essential.
That's fair. I actually used it the other day because I was auditing a few chemicals, and I wanted to know the history behind the different EPA numbers.
Oh.
So I actually used it because some of the products, change like names, right? Same EPA number. So I put in the product with the EPA, and I said, give me the history. And it went back and gave me like literally, this one's expired. They can use it for one more year up until this date, and then on to the next one. It was very interesting.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to do that.
I like that it does the searching for me, because just Googling things is like, I mean, that's a rabbit hole.
Takes forever. Yeah, exactly. Shell, what else you thinking?
I mean, this has just been so much fun. I mean, for those of you who have watched a lot of our episodes, it's so interesting how many similarities we have as BCEs and the differences between us. It's fascinating to me. So much fun to talk with you, Desiree.
It really is. I love this thing so much. Shell and I I think we just kind of started this up on a whim. We were like, we had kind of been talking about it, and we just said, just screw it, let's do it. You know what I mean?
I planted the seed. I said, because you had done a webinar. I'm like, oh, if you ever want to do a webinar together, and then you're like, let's do a podcast, and I was like,
right,
okay, here we go.
You were on the Beauties and Beasties podcast, so that's a coworker of mine at BASF that does that, and I interviewed him. We're all like intertwined together. I interviewed him for a project for school and stuff.
Are you talking about Alex?
Yeah, Alex. Yep.
Yeah. He's a hoot. He's such a hoot.
It was so much fun. But yeah, it was cool. It's one of those things like that's a person like that works for the same company in a fairly similar type of role that like I've never met that guy, like kind of thing. And so, that's just I think the podcast thing is kind of it's not new, right? I mean, it's been around for a long time.
It's just catching on more now.
There's more and more that it's starting. I love a good podcast. Like I love listening to them when I drive. Like you said, I do quite a bit of driving, so that's what keeps me company in the truck as I'm driving from here to Georgia or here to Raleigh or wherever I'm going. So
right. And just for everybody listening, again, we kind of built this podcast as a platform for all those kind of future and or existing nerdy entomologists out there to kind of figure out which way they want to take their career, their path, because there's just so many options. It's insane. We've already interviewed a case witness expert who does that full time. We've interviewed a retired U.S. Army entomologist. So, now BASF. We had David on the last episode. So it's crazy all the different directions you can go with an entomology degree.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, and I didn't list out everything that I did, when I went through my career, but I mean, I worked in food safety for quite a while. I mean, that second credential is certified professional food safety, and like that's another credential. I could never get that credential again. I could never pass that exam, especially now. But that, I mean, having that food safety background helps in food processing, right? So even though I'm not doing the food safety, I was doing audits and things like that. I'm not doing that anymore. I still have that background, and I understand what makes food safe and what doesn't make food safe.
Yeah.
Hey, I worked at Cold Stone when I was in grad school, so you know what? Welcome to Cold Stone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Right? We have to do all these different jobs, but yes.
Yeah, I did a lot of restaurant stuff in my
Yep.
before undergrad and during undergrad and stuff. And
Yep.
you have to know that the restaurant industry was not my career goal. But
Raise your hand if you were a bartender or server. Hey,
I was never a
I was
bartender.
a cook.
there we go. Line cook. I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I worked quick service. When I was in food, quick service, and I was a busser for a sit down restaurant.
Oh, wait a minute. I just thought of a fun question. Everybody gets to answer this question. So, what is the craziest thing you've seen in pest control? You can't name who you were working for, but you can name the craziest things. So, let me go ahead and start with mine because it's in my mind.
Okay.
Right? So, I remember working for this company, and I went in. Actually, we can say who we work for. We just can't say the person where we had the experience, right?
Yeah.
So, I was working for Terminix at the time in Florida, and we went into this facility, a local facility there. And the person that called because there was a German cockroach, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be more than one. We know there's not just one German cockroach. And as we went in, there was one of those ice cream machines where you pull down the ice cream thing, right, to do the ice cream. And I went to pull the ice cream thing down, and roaches were coming out of the ice cream dispenser.
Oh no,
Literally.
no,
It wasn't.
no,
It wasn't mixed. It wasn't swirl. It was like chocolate vanilla with roaches and legs
Oh
coming out of it.
no!
no.
You know it's bad when they're coming out of that dispenser.
Oh,
So of course, what do? It's like a pretty big machine, right? So you just turn the machine around, you take off the screws on the back. It was like Joe's apartment in this damn ice cream machine. They were swinging from every single electrical cord that existed. It was like you could smell it when you walked in. That's how bad it was.
I believe it.
That's my at least cockroach story. So I have all kinds of stories, but that was kind of my favorite story that came to my mind.
I think
All right,
one of
Desiree,
mine.
Shell.
Okay, I was going to say one of mine is we used to do a heat treatment on a mill every summer, and I always picked night shift to monitor because it was a little bit cooler and my boss wasn't there. So we take our walks around the site every hour or so, and I'm taking a walk around and I'm watching rats run from the building.
Oh,
And so the next day, I told the guy, I'm like, do you realize that you have a hole about this big in the side of your facility? I mean, it wasn't even through doors. I mean, literally there was a hole in the wall. And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, do you plan on fixing that? Because they're going to take the reverse route now. And he's like, maybe. And I'm like, okay. So
oh
yeah,
my God.
yeah, that was
I
one
wish
of
I
my
had
fun
videos
ones.
of like them just going in and out. That would have been crazy.
Mhm.
Passing each other. Hi,
Oh
bye,
yeah,
like a little
you
interstate
just
highway.
watched him jump out this hole. It was
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Desiree?
Yeah, how do you pick just one? I don't know about my favorite.
I know.
So one of my early pest control stories is from I had, most of my route we had at Stereotech we had day specialists and night specialists, and so the night guys typically did restaurants and stuff. But I had this restaurant on my day route that was just open until for breakfast and lunch and stuff. So I would go after that and do the pest control and stuff. And so this restaurant had like a bar, and she said, this lady I went there for the first time, and she said, there's a lot of fruit flies in the bar. And I was like, okay. And I don't know anything. I'm just starting out. I don't know anything about pest control. I'm just learning as I go kind of thing. And so I'm like, cool. I'm going to try to find the source, and stuff. And I said, let me just give me some time or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I'll be in the office. I've got to do my paperwork and stuff. I said, all right, cool. And so I went into the bar, and I'm looking underneath all of the, equipment and stuff. And bar equipment's so tight, and there's just little tiny spaces. And so
Damn
they
it, you
had
did
this-
that word again. Just kidding.
They had this hand sink that was supposed to be only used for hand washing. That's my food safety side of my brain speaking. But they had been using it as a dump sink, which is very normal in a bar, that they just dump drinks and stuff. So, the pipe goes down and there's an air gap and stuff, and then it has a funnel type drain top on it. So it's like PVC plastic. And so that drain, you can't get your face over it, right? So I'm trying to finagle this way before things like cell phone cameras and stuff that you can just take a picture, look at what's going on in there. And so I get my face kind of so my eyeball is over the edge and I can see, and it's to the top, sludge. And we're talking about a funnel. It's at least this deep before the floor.
Yeah.
And who knows what goes on beyond the floor.
Was
And
the
so I was
sludge
like,
moving, like literally moving?
Yeah, of course it was. And so I was like, all right, I think this is probably it. So I go back to the office and I was like, I think I found it. And she goes, really? You know, it was pretty quick. And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to need, do you have like an old bucket, like a pickle bucket or something? You know, an old bucket and some cardboard because I'm going to have to like lay on the floor in this dirty bar and, you know, and like scoop this. And she's like, okay, yeah. And she thought I was really weird, like what I was asking for. And I was like, do you want to see where I found? I said, let me just show you. And she's like, okay. So I put I put on my glove and I reach in there and I grab like one handful of gook and plop it in the bucket.
Yep.
And she's like, I gotta go. And she like laughed. She couldn't even stomach
Wow,
it.
Felicia.
She's like, I gotta go. I can't. She couldn't handle it. And so she goes, when it was all done and I had like everything was cleaned up and stuff. She's like, why couldn't the last guy do that? I was like, I don't know. I was like, but maybe he just didn't stick his head underneath the sink. But yeah, it was really gross. And I will never forget like the texture, the way it felt like it was so gross.
Oh
But
my
it was like
gosh.
gelatinous. It was
Ugh.
yeah. So that's one of my more memorable experiences, but at least for small flies. But yeah.
I love it. Well, I think we could sit here and talk about memories all day long, but I'm trying to be
Yeah,
mindful of
yeah.
everybody's time. I know Shell wants to go why more about it. And so, Desiree, do you have any final words you want to leave for any, people out there that are going to try to take the BCE?
Study for sure. But don't like you said, Adam. Don't worry so much.
Don't
about
stress.
It. Don't get in
Yeah.
the weeds. Don't stress about it. It's a lot of information, but you can take it more than once. It's totally fine to do that. But it's really important. It is important in our industry to keep that certification going, and it's worth it. At the end, it's totally worth it. All the hard work, worth it.
I love it. I love it. Shell, you got any final words for today's episode?
You know what? Go grab a glass and whine about
Join Shell and
BCEs
whine
with
about
us.
Yep. It's 5 o'clock.
Here-
All right.
here's my
Right.
empty glass, all right?
Oh my God, I love it. Only for those over 21 years old listening. All right. Thanks again, everybody, for listening to the BCE podcast where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. I'm your host, Adam Holt. Today we had your co-host, Shell. Our special guest in the house was Desiree, and we're going to all go have a great weekend. So bye, everybody.
They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking 6 legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast boys and girls, science in the air.